All right, so I wanted to just do a quick overview of what the converter has done. I've actually it ran for a long time, and it output everything into this folder. Well, it output it into the in-house this folder here, and then I moved it over here, and just to protect the name of the application. I used this text replacer, one of our tools, to change everything that was in here to this demo program. So demo program is basically the project that was sent to me, and then we will go to this folder called transfer one by one, and well, that is that folder, and then here is the actual demo program. Now, there's a lot of references in this project. Um, when the project opens, you would go up here to show all files so that you can see the references. You cannot open forms while there are any yellow items in references. So first we need to remove these yellow items just so we can open some of these other things. So we'll get rid of I think I might not have wanted to delete that. I think we'll be okay though, just for this demonstration. And so we can close the references, and then what I want to do is go down to a lot of these files down here that they weren't forms, they're just VB files. So where was the one? I think declarations display. So we'll open this up, minimize that. And if we go down through here, this just to give you an example of how this has converted the actual code, you can compare this to the original VB6 application. So it comes down here. Anything that's underlined would be a problem, and so far, and you might notice this, like that's not supported anymore, multiplying it by a certain amount. There were a couple, and at first I thought there was something wrong with the converter, but there were a couple orphaned public statements here as well, like this and this. They're actually in the VB6 code. And then as we get down here, you'll notice the comments and so forth, they're all maintained as well. Here's structures that have been moved over. One thing with arrays like this, you can no longer specify specific dimensions to it. So this would just, you'd have to remove any 1, 2. I mean, I would just run a replace on that just to replace it with that. Just in open parentheses, just to get rid of that. Yeah, I think the converter had a lot of problems with some of these naming conventions because I I don't know if we've ever run it against single digit like this here. This would also have to be replaced. This 0, 2. Just going down here. I thought this actually was an error as well, but no, that's actually in the code. I didn't realize there were multi-dimension arrays in here. Once again, I'm just scrolling on down, just so you can see kind of what has been converted over in here. I just saw pi there. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit page down. We'll just keep going here. Here's all these different declares. Really quite a bit. Of course, it adds this code in here. That's just the Avotiva stuff in general. Here's this app class that has been included in. Here's the Avotiva, a lot of different things from VB6 that's still in there. We go here to this base module here. That one wasn't as big. Here's help. Screen shooter. session. Okay. A lot of widths. Go down here, another VB. And by the way, if you receive any files, and this includes anything, I mean, if you see like this isn't really formatted very well. You can go to the very top here, find the class itself, put the cursor right at the end and just hit enter, and that'll reformat everything so that it's more readable. Okay, a lot of different things there. Here's a class CLS attribute. Once again, same way, come up here, hit enter, reformats things. Just coming on down. A lot of files in here. And these are different functions that are thrown at the end. That must, there was probably a record set somewhere in here for it to have included that. Okay, you can see all the comments have been maintained. Right down here, grid. Okay, so let's maybe scroll down and find a form that we look at. So let's see here, FRM 2D mirror. We say view designer. There we've got form there. Try this FRM 2D spread, view designer. Set. Good in here, analysis frequency. Is that? We'll go down here, FRM design. Is that? Let's see, FRM file list. Okay. Scroll up here. FRM filter, view designer. Is that? Filter GL, view designer. Is that? View, let's see, generic. There's generic. Let's scroll there. FRM progress. Okay, progress bar. Scroll down there. Let's see, progress multi. Report. Okay, so there's a lot of forms here that have converted pretty well looking, and then there's some forms that, because the references, there's like 7 references that are not included. And let me just pick a, let's see here. Here, let's try this seg-y. Okay, here's one right here. Okay, so this is not able to display because there's something on here that it doesn't like. So if we go into the code, it says here at line 1174, this SCR attrib visible equals false. So if we say go to code 1174, here it is right here, this S attrib. And you can see here that there were picture boxes that had controls on top of it. So one of the recommendations that I would make is to prepare this to be converted. I would go through and maybe go through at a form level, looking through the code, making sure that a picture box is not acting as a parent control to these other controls, because the converter, because .NET does not allow that, it currently does not know how to handle that situation. So if we were to remark this right here, that might actually help this screen to paint. As I'm looking down through here, I'd be looking for anything that that is underlined that would be causing this not to be able to, you know, paint the screen itself. So if we close this and we go back here to this and we say view the designer, and of course it's saying, you know, hey, you can't see it. If you say ignore and continue, and there's a very good chance that it'll be blank. It is blank. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't anything in this file. We don't want to save this right now. We go back here, right click, choose view designer. This comes up again. Like I said, if we go into the code, we're actually looking in this file here, this frm seg designer.vb. This file itself, its whole purpose in .NET is to construct the actual form. So one of the things that I'm working on right now is a way to slowly rebuild a form, control by control, and essentially just writing it back to the drive. .NET would say there's something different about it, and then it would try to load that form. And the idea is to get it to the point where we can figure out exactly what lines are causing the problem. If we come down here and we look through here, there's probably something in here that is not included as one of the maybe it's one of the custom controls, maybe it's you know, one of the references, whatever, but it's referencing it, but it's not actually on this particular computer. So if this source code was pulled onto a computer where this actually the VB6 code can open up on a, you know, on a computer, chances are this could actually work. I'm not entirely sure though if it would. This form might actually have to be massaged, so to speak, to you know, to get it to paint. So that's what's going on with this. Now that's how the forms are converting, and then of course, and we'll get rid of this right here. Here's the other forms that we'd look through. There's a bunch of forms here that that did convert pretty well. Apparently, I'm not as familiar with that. If we come down here to, let's say, these VB files here and scroll down, you can see that. And once again, if you look at like this for and next statement, if we scroll back up and we just hit, we go to the module, go to the end of it and just hit enter. When we come back down, everything's going to look, here you got the for next indented correctly. But this code looks like it converted over pretty well. Definitely a good base for starting, for completing, you know, the entire. Now here you go. Here's another situation. We got these nested for next statements. If we go to the top and go like this and hit enter, and we came back down, then all of a sudden, there you can see the loops are correct again. So that's just a brief overview of you know, what had been converted. If we went up here to project and we went into the demo program properties, you'd see that, you know, here's subform, that's the startup form itself. If we come down here to the error list and we, let's say, double click on check grids, this obviously in this particular form, if we told it to view designer, it would tell us that there's a problem. And probably the reason is that that particular control is not here on the form, and so that's making the form itself have a problem loading. So let's see here what's going on here. Slider value, it's a negative value there. So it's, you know, obviously there's things that need to be gone through and maybe slowly introduced back in. One of the ideas, one of the ways that it can be done is you take a folder that here's this like VB.net exactly as converted, and you copy it, exactly the way it was converted into a folder called 1x1, and you open up this program and basically just remove. You can exclude, if you go back into the demo program here, okay, this is the converted code, you could highlight a whole bunch of files, and you could come down here and basically just say right click. Probably I'm on the wrong toggle there, and you say exclude from the project. Let me just select a few of them. Yes, exclude from the project. So that would essentially, the files would still appear there. You could say yes, we want to save that, sure, we made a couple changes, whatever. So this way you see that the files are still there, and then you can slowly reintroduce them. Come down here and exclude from the project. Yes, we'll display or save all those things. And then as you iron out the errors, you just can keep removing or reintroducing the files back in. So this concludes the overview. I just wanted to show you this is how it did convert it. I wanted to just kind of give you some feedback on what's going on. This is obviously an extremely large VB6 application to be converting, so it was to be expected that there's going to be some challenges with converting it completely over. But that is it for now. This concludes this overview. Thanks.